Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Takeometrics webinar. I am happy to have my friend Michael Goldmeyer from Zentail with me today. We're going to talk about the latest developments on Amazon and Walmart in terms of your 2021 fulfillment, how we're looking for Q4, what changes are coming, what changes have been made. Zentail is on the cutting edge of fulfillment news as per usual. So we wanted to have them on to talk through some of the stuff that we've been seeing news about, but they just did a great webinar with Amazon and they are the folks that know the stuff. So say hi, Michael.
Hello, everyone. Really excited to be part of this, Liz. Thanks for including us. Thanks for asking us to join.
Oh, we always have a good time, don't we? So a couple housekeeping items before we get completely kicked off into the content. First of all, this webinar is being recorded. Again, it is being recorded. That's usually the first 12 questions I get during a webinar. If you've got questions, please do put them in the question section of GoToWebinar. I will be filtering them into our conversation as we're going. As you see, I've got a slide deck shared right now, but that's not going to go on forever. We're going to take that down and Michael and I are just going to talk for a little while. I'm going to ask him a bunch of questions and I want you to ask him a bunch of questions too. So let's just go through the agenda real quick. We're going to talk about the latest on Amazon multi-channel fulfillment, MCF, and why it matters. Michael's got some great observations on Walmart fulfillment service and what sellers should know about that. And trends from 2021 so far that should probably factor into how you're looking at your Q4. Obviously, I don't know that you can look at your Q4 last year and make any kind of projections about this year. Last year was so weird. I think this year's shaping up to be weird too. We'll do a Q&A at the end as well. But like I said, if you've got questions while we're in the content, please just go ahead and ask them. We want this to be a conversation more than a lecture. Right, so in case you don't know who I am or who Takeometrics is, I'm Liz. I'm the e-commerce marketing manager at Takeometrics. Takeometrics is a technology platform first and foremost, but we are also a service provider in that we've got the tech to help you optimize your advertising on Amazon, Walmart, and eBay, but we've also got managed services team that help take you to the next level. We optimize ad spend for brands accounting for 7 billion across Amazon alone, and our Walmart and eBay is new, so that's just getting started, but we see more and more people that are just jumping onto Walmart with full gusto. It's an exciting marketplace. Michael, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about Zentail who?
Yes, thank you. Zentail, we're a listing automation platform. We work with brands, resellers, selling online. We're really focused on the multi-channel aspect, going direct to consumer. If selling on at least 2+ channels is part of your strategy, you're probably running into some of the challenges that we solve as a listing automation platform. Overall, our mission is to make e-commerce simple, allow companies to scale, retain quality, create quality listings, and execute your strategies successfully.
Awesome. So I'm going to get rid of this this slide deck, and we're just going to talk a little bit, I think. So I've been reading, I watched your webinar that you did with Amazon, and I've also been reading some of your content and reading some other content out there about Amazon MCF. And I mean, it's not a new program, right? I mean, it's been around for a while, but there have been some recent changes that make it a lot more attractive to people that are selling on other channels. So I want to save the best one for last.
Okay.
We talked about the best one. So explain to me a little bit about one of the bullet points in the changes is block orders for marketplaces that don't allow you to use Amazon multi-channel fulfillment. So for 5%, you can pay for them not to tell on you. Is that how that works? What's going on with that?
Yeah, so Amazon often uses Amazon Logistics as the carrier when you create a multi-channel fulfillment order for FBA, which is great because they have competitive rates. It's their own carrier. But for some marketplaces, they would not accept the tracking info. They would wouldn't accept an order to be marked as shipped using Amazon logistics, namely Walmart. So now Amazon provides the option for sellers who are doing FBA multi-channel fulfillment to opt out of using Amazon logistics. There's a 5% surcharge for them to use USPS, FedEx, whoever they end up using, instead of Amazon logistics, but it allows you to, but it removes one of the blockers that historically has prevented sellers from leveraging FBA MCF for Walmart and these other marketplaces.
Okay, so is that why? So I ordered something off of Shopify, a Shopify store the other day, and it came. I got a tracking link that wasn't an Amazon tracking link, and it came in an Amazon truck, but not in an Amazon box. So walk me through how all of that is possible.
Yeah, so another change is that they use after ship, so they could send tracking info to different channels where previously they couldn't. So you're able to get that tracking info sent to channels like Wish and eBay, or sorry, and Etsy, where you weren't able to previously. It showed up in an Amazon box. Sorry, you said it showed up in a non-Amazon box, right?
Mm-hmm.
So another new release is that they allowed sellers to use blank boxes, is what they call it internally, or unbranded boxes. So what I'm really excited about with this change is for a lot of sellers going multi-channel. We all have our inventory at FBA. We built up our book of business on Amazon FBA, and we have a lot of our fulfillment based out of this one network, FBA. It's one of the best fulfillment networks in the world. And we as online retailers know that we need to go multi-channel. We need to start selling on Walmart if we're not already, eBay, Shopify, our direct-to-consumer site, and more. And a big blocker historically has been, how do I put my inventory someplace where I could support fulfilling orders on these other channels? Walmart hasn't allowed sellers to fulfill orders using Amazon logistics or in Amazon branded packaging. eBay had similar constraints, and overall from the user experience, Liz, you receive an order from a Shopify site and it gets delivered in an Amazon. It's a little confusing, and you think, like, as a user, as a consumer, should I just go to Amazon? Is it cheaper there, and you lose that potential repeat business from a Shopify store? So a lot of these changes that Amazon rolled out really recently is enabling sellers to leverage the FBA network for their non-Amazon channels and just remove that really difficult hurdle of going multi-channel, being the fulfillment piece. So a summary would be that you're now able to use your FBA inventory, send it in blank boxes or unbranded packaging, which allows you to use that inventory for your Walmart orders. You can opt out of Amazon logistics. For that one, there is a 5% charge, but that is really important for, and by 5%, I mean 5% of the shipping cost. So if it normally costs you $3, it'll cost you 3 plus 5%, which I won't try to do on the fly.
No
And
mathing here. We don't have to math.
and those are two big hurdles that they've removed to allow you to continue to leverage your FBA, keep your inventory there, or at least a lot of it there, instead of moving a huge chunk of it out of FBA to 3PL or into your own warehouses dedicated towards these non-Amazon channels where maybe it's not as proven out, or maybe it's still only 5, 10, 15% of your business. So really excited about those changes.
It is exciting. And one thing that we talked about that I think is the most exciting about it is that when we were talking about, like, what are we going to talk about and this whole MCF thing and all that, it's the inventory performance index on Amazon. I was like, isn't it a bummer that your volume through MCF wouldn't count toward your IPI? And sure enough, it is counting toward your IPI. How cool is that?
Yeah, for a lot of sellers, IPI has been a huge focus as you're hit with these constraints on how much you could send to FBA. And it was really, I think, well thought out to say your MCF volume is considered in the IPI calculation. So you may have all these sales going through, you're leveraging the FBA fulfillment network, all those sales for your non-Amazon channels. You can still benefit from that, and using your multi-channel volume, increase your allocation for what you're allowed to send to FBA, maybe towards unlimited. Really, really important, really impactful coming up on the holidays, as a lot of people experienced last year.
So again, with the IPI, there are several things that are factored into your inventory performance index on Amazon. So we don't know at this point how much of an impact MCF is going to have. I think they started counting it in June, and we've seen some accounts go up several points, several tens of points, 10, 20, 30, which still might not move the needle for you if you want to be at that 450 threshold. And who knows, jumping ahead to the what to expect from Q4, I know that in previous years, Amazon has said, oh, whoops, threshold's now 500, or, they've changed it on you. So I haven't heard anything about that yet. And so far, Seller Central still says the threshold's 450. But we do have a question about that whole thing we were just talking about the block orders. Someone says, what do you mean by opting out of Amazon Logistics? Isn't it still Amazon Logistics Service who's shipping the goods via FedEx, USPS, etc.?
Yeah, so they'll actually use their non-Amazon trucks or non-Amazon infrastructure, USPS's or whomever's they end up shipping it with, if you opt out of using Amazon Logistics. So it'll be USPS. I'm using them as an example of what, a different carrier's tracking number, carrier info that is being sent to eventually the sales channel and the consumer for tracking that order, instead of historically where it's been on an actual Amazon. I've seen those Sprinter vans or something like that, that big blue van pulling up in front of your house to drop off the Amazon package.
So this person has eBay sales through Amazon MCF that come in as shipped late because it shipped internally through Amazon Logistics until the final delivery. Would that 5% surcharge program update the ship tracking sooner?
Yes. Yeah, it's a really good use case for that.
Awesome. Been using multi-channel from Amazon to fulfill orders coming in from eBay or Walmart. In this case, what you indicate is logistics information on your listing, eBay or Walmart. So I guess what do you put on your listing on those individual channels?
Sorry, could you run that by me one more time?
So if you're using multi-channel from Amazon, but the orders are coming from eBay or Walmart, what do you put on your eBay or Walmart listings? What do you list as your shipping information or logistics information?
So you'll probably want to manage your either shipping templates, shipping policy, shipping whatever is called from channel to channel to comply with what's expected there. Another change is that Amazon has started shipping more quickly. So I think they could they improve their standard shipping speeds by a day to comply with some of these other marketplace requirements. So you would still want to say standard shipping if received by whatever your cutoff time is, we'll call it 3 p.m., will be delivered within 2 days, end of day of 2 days later. That doesn't change. You wouldn't need to set up your carrier on the shipping level, but you still have those shipping expectations, those delivery expectations on your listing.
Right on. Okay, so we talked about MCF, blocking orders for the surcharge, improve shipping time, tracking through after ship, IPI impact, super exciting. Blank boxes obviously being used, got one the other day. What about international?
I think, still in beta for MCF at least. So they have a few beta programs. International is still in beta. We'll see when that gets rolled out more thoroughly, more completely. Unbranded boxes, that neutral branded packaging is also in beta, but you may see within your Seller Central, especially when you create new inbound shipments, that is it just starts showing up now as an option. So check or apply, request to be part of the beta. With that, for unbranded packaging, there is the logistics challenge. So it's an early program for Amazon, obviously, and they want to be successful at this at scale. So they'll need to have all these different fulfillment centers within their network capable of shipping out your inventory in unbranded packaging. And it'll likely take some time for them to allocate, disperse your inventory towards the fulfillment centers that are capable of doing that. I don't know if it's going to be a week, weeks, months, fingers crossed on the lower end of that scale. But all that to say, if you see it as an option, go ahead and enroll, request access to it today. Start sending your new inventory to unbranded, capable fulfillment centers so that you have that option when it counts. As we're
That's
going
great
into the holiday
advice.
season.
Great advice. Great. So that's going to be pretty huge if that rolls out to international Amazon. I mean, I'm not here to predict the future, but dang, that's going to be pretty powerful. So we've got Amazon galloping ahead into the fulfillment world. We've got them competing with major carriers. We've got all kinds of crazy stuff happening. Where is Walmart in all of this? So Walmart has this enormous brick and mortar presence, right? They've got all of this, like these like award-winning complicated logistics. Walmart fulfillment services, though, it seems it's just not quite meeting seller expectation. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's definitely in its infancy. Um, Walmart as a new marketplace 5-6 years ago at this point um, was really exciting because they have the infrastructure that I know I said FBA is like one of the best in the world. So is Walmart's. Um, so it's really hard for a new marketplace to have a competitive edge and to win over Amazon sellers if they don't have an FBA equivalent, FBA comparable offering. And back in 2016, it seemed like Walmart was best posed to come up with something there. And really excited that we now see that in WFS. So awesome, we're moving in that direction, but it's early, right? FBA has been around for a lot longer than WFS has, so there's been some challenges I think that sellers have experienced getting inventory there, how to allocate inventory at WFS versus call it seller fulfilled or merchant fulfilled, the non-WFS inventory, keeping track of it. So more to come. Seems like it does have an impact on your sales early on, and something that is worth at least considering today, but definitely keeping an eye on for the future.
Totally. We've got a really interesting question that I want to know the answer to. So someone has asked, is there a situation where we can store an item in the FBA warehouse that might not be available to sell on Amazon? So in other words, they're not approved for like they've got a sports card that's being sold on eBay. They're not approved in the collectible category on Amazon. Therefore, they cannot list the item on Amazon. Can an item be sent into FBA if the seller doesn't have a listing for it?
I'm just thinking back, but I'm like 85% sure the answer is yes. To that specific situation where you don't have approval for that category, I don't know, but I have seen that one of the things that Amazon rolled out is that you can use FBA strictly for multi-channel. You can have inventory at FBA that's not available on Amazon that you're able to make available for multi-channel. Of course, there's going to be other restrictions like the normal stuff, hazmat is something that they actually want at their fulfillment centers.
Sure. So that so the inventory performance index was introduced in June 2018 at Boost, right, in New Orleans, in an awfully hot place. And the whole point was Amazon doesn't want you to just send your stuff in because they don't want to be your warehouse. So don't send, I think the example used was don't send Easter cookies in for Q4 cookie cutters. Don't send in 10,000 Easter cookie cutters for
Mhm.
Q4 for them to just sit on Amazon's shelves. We've got a finite amount of space, and that's why we've rolled out the inventory performance index, because we want items to move off of our shelves, and we have to adjust your allotted space according to your volume, your sell-through rate, your excess inventory, etc. So where does it factor in that all of a sudden people who don't even have the listings on Amazon can send their stuff in for it to sit on their shelves? I mean, you at least have to have a seller account, right? You at least have to have a professional seller account that is FBA eligible, right?
Right. And I think what it comes down to, this is me theorizing at this point, but what I said earlier about where sellers they knew that they had to expand off of Amazon at a certain point. They had to have a presence, if it's not their D2C site, capture more sales on these major marketplaces, these growing marketplaces like Walmart. And they couldn't use FBA for that. So they were limiting what they were sending to FBA. They were removing inventory, allocating it more towards their 3PL, their internal systems. And that was harmful for Amazon. They have the best fulfillment network in the world, and they make money off of it. Storage fees, fulfillment, shipping, margins based off of that. So I think there is an incentive for Amazon as a company to encourage and incentivize people to leverage FBA as much as possible. I imagine they'd prefer to keep the sale on Amazon, but understanding that trends are going multi-channel, people are going to figure out a way. There's been a lot of 3PLs that are advertising themselves as the FBA for non-Amazon channels, right? And trying to recreate a portion of what Amazon has as their fulfillment network. Like FBA could be the FBA for non-Amazon channels.
Yeah.
So I
So
think
our
there's,
friend,
go ahead.
who can't list his item on Amazon but wants to fulfill it through Amazon, how does he do that? Do we know, or will we have to get back to him on that?
Yeah, that's probably something to get back to him on. If there's something limiting you from having that listing even available, maybe that's an edge case where it's not allowed yet, but I have seen language where you're able to leverage MCF where that product isn't at the moment available on Amazon. So good one to look into.
But if he got in touch with your team or your team got in touch with him, you could help him figure it out.
Totally.
Okay, so unless you have any objections, I'll just get them to get in touch with you to help you figure it out. Ooh, and somebody just commented, WFS is planning on MCF, received a questionnaire about it last week to see if we were interested. So it looks like certain sellers are getting invited already.
Yeah, that's super exciting. I think I've used that word, a dozen times so far,
Well,
but
what's more exciting than logistics? Honestly.
yeah,
I mean, it's definitely the most complicated topic, but I mean, it's exciting too, because when you get it figured out, then hot dog, right? But it's hard to figure out.
yeah, and you can kind of look at what Amazon's done really well so far, and if this MCF is a really established, successful strategy, um, it makes sense that Walmart WFS would have second mover advantage. They could say, great, let's use our infrastructure, let's learn from first movers' mistakes and take advantage of this demand for multi-channel within our network.
I feel like that's been a big advantage for Walmart too, as they rolled out Marketplace to say,
Yeah,
okay, well, what did Amazon do maybe not as great as they could have the first time,
right.
And I think that, I mean, at least the sellers and brand owners that I know that sell on Walmart say that while it does have its challenges, they're definitely taking a lesson from Amazon's mistakes.
And I'm sure you've seen it in their advertising product on Walmart. It's really built for solutions like Takeometrics first versus the directly user interface aspect.
Right. So, do you have any big predictions for this holiday season? Do you think that Amazon's gonna do something crazy? Do you think that, I mean, obviously this truck driver shortage is going to be a factor too. Like, what do you see in your crystal ball?
Um, yeah, I think with what we and consumers have learned from the past 12 months, from last holiday season, we're probably going to see uh, that holiday spike, that Black Friday through the week before Christmas spike, just keep creeping up a little bit. People are going to know that it takes a while to get their products. People will continue to shop online. I don't think everyone's going to say, let's go back to in person after the biggest Q4, the biggest holiday season for e-commerce ever. So I think we'll still see a really strong trend there, and um, that holiday rush will start to creep into October more comfortably than it has before.
I like that prediction.
So as a seller, be prepared. Um, there are those supply chain demands for people getting their products from overseas, um, for people looking to get their inventory into FBA, or even their own warehouses or 3PLs. Think a couple weeks sooner than you normally would this year.
Yeah, so we had someone say if Amazon wants space allotted to fast turning inventory, why don't they make it known the time it takes to make an ace and wend its way around from shipping to them to appearance in available inventory so WOS can be planned more efficiently? I don't think that's a rhetorical question, but I do think that that's a very common because that varies, right? You can send your stuff in and bam, before you know it, it's available. And then sometimes
Mhm.
there are problems because it's a great big network and it's not perfect. But do you have a particular response to that that's better than mine, which is like, yeah, that sucks. I'm so sorry.
What a lot of people do, and people that we work with do, is they'll have a non-FBA option for Amazon, and they'll have FBA. And some people really prefer that if it can be fulfilled via FBA, especially for an order on Amazon, let them handle it. But there is that delay when you're sending an inbound shipment for them to process it and make it available. So we have some options within our platform that people like to take advantage of, where they'll make their MF SKU available, and then as soon as it's available, FBA is as soon as Amazon's been able to process the inbound shipment, it'll just auto transfer over to the FBA SKU, and they'll lean on that for fulfillment. So the summary, the short answer is have a backup if it's viable. Have an MF option, and you can always turn it off, hopefully automatically, when Amazon does get around to processing your inventory.
That's something that people talked about last year a lot, and they talked about a lot year before last, especially last year when Amazon was like, look, we need hand sanitizer and masks, so you can only send X amount of this many and
Yeah.
X amount of this many, and everybody was like, oh, you need to figure out how to do merchant fulfilled and figure it
Mm-hmm.
out quick. And I don't think that that's gone away. I don't know how many people who pivoted in that direction last year just as a reaction have adopted that into their actual business strategy, and how many have said, whew, glad we don't have to do that anymore. And then they're going to have to turn around and do that again. Do you have any insight into which
Yeah.
one is more common?
I know this isn't holiday season 2020 predictions right now, but in hindsight, what we saw was that the sellers who were already prepared for merchant fulfillment, um, they were the most successful ones. Kind of, silly to say it, but they were also really successful on Walmart. So in terms of how this whole capacity constraint impacted everyone last year, Walmart was a huge winner. They grew by like tens of percentage points over the holiday season, even more so than other non-Amazon channels, because the sellers who had that non-FBA capabilities, they were probably, or they were likely doing that in order to get up on Walmart. Uh, they they were best positioned to handle those constraints, those restrictions. As a consumer, I couldn't find my hair clippers on Amazon. I had to go to Walmart and buy it from a shipper on Walmart Marketplace instead.
So that same person said that it's a vendor central account. So that explains a whole lot. But they've had a PO hanging out in receipts for weeks now. Do you guys deal with a lot of 1P Amazon sellers?
We do work with sellers who have a multifaceted approach to do 1P, 3P. We work with the 3P side, but it's not uncommon either for this reason. Sometimes people like to have an influence on pricing more directly, that they'll have a presence on the Seller Central side of
Or the
Amazon as well
ability
as
to
vendor.
modify their listings easily, or I've heard a lot of really big 1P brands lately have complained to me about, I think I'm just going to go 3P. And I'm like, you can do more advertising.
Yeah.
It's a good idea if it's a good idea for your business. Oh, we've got a Walmart question. So this person was just approved for WFS, and he's got a couple of questions. Like, one, do you know if they commingle products from different companies? I noticed they don't have a product label system like Amazon does. I'm curious how they could know if product A came from company A or company B.
Congratulations on getting inventory, getting accepted to WFS. I don't know. I haven't heard that they commingle any inventory. We do see like within the documentation and how we're set up that Amazon obviously has that option for commingled or not. I haven't seen anything even referencing that for Walmart, so I'd expect no, but double check me on that.
Well, in the old days of Amazon, I mean, I think that it took everybody understanding, wait, my stuff is being commingled unless I say otherwise.
Yeah.
It's not like Amazon was like, we're going to commingle your stuff unless you tell us otherwise, because it just made sense to Amazon. We've got this many purple widgets from this many places. We put all the purple widgets in the strategic places around, but we also haven't seen extensive tours of WFS facilities and the robots that they put in, and had news reports about the people and the working conditions there. So it's still so new. We're not sure how it works. I would ask, actually, Jake is the person who's asking the question. Jake, I would ask if you've got a contact. Walmart's real good about maybe giving you a contact, rather than with Amazon, you don't always get somebody you can talk to, but um, I would ask about that. And if you need help, I can ask around with the Walmart Connect people. Also, does WFS have quantity limitations like Amazon, such as oversized, flammable, or standard?
They do. Um, Nothing too big, nothing too heavy. I think their current restrictions are 30 pounds to have that product accepted into WFS. They may update it, but as you go through the application process, they'll outline the requirements or the constraints.
Oh, we have another Walmart seller that says that they've asked WFS the same question about commingling and they don't answer.
All right, everyone, there's hundreds of us. If we all start asking, it'll make its way up the ladder.
Or do you start proactively stickering so that if somebody's got a complaint, you can say, hey, did it have this sticker on it? And they would say yes or no, and then you would know it was I mean, that's an interesting question.
Yeah, you got my curiosity. I have that written down to follow up on.
Yeah, I'm
Just
gonna ask too. So don't worry, when we do the write-up of this, we're gonna hopefully have the answer to that question for you. Um, Michael and I will bug each other. Do you know yet? Maybe we'll make it into a contest. The
all right,
person who finds out first has to buy the other one something off of Walmart.
I'm stacking the team. I got people on it right now.
Oh man, I can't multitask like that. Does WFS require GTIN 14 labels?
Yeah, for Walmart in general, you usually have to have G10, UPC, some sort of standard
Yeah.
product identifier. They have some exceptions, usually in jewelry, but not very common. Not like Amazon's like ability to have a UPC exemption for a brand.
Yeah. Our super helpful Walmart seller that got invited to do um, MCF with Walmart says that they also have a liquid size limit, and they think it's about 60 fluid ounces. So good to know too. I'm so glad you're here. Oh, so Jerry asks, what's the percentage sales lift sellers are seeing when they launch WFS? So I don't know if we know. Do you? We were talking before, and we can extrapolate the data based on this one data point. Have you seen anybody see a sales lift after launching with WFS? I mean, is it helping people with their margins or sales or volume or anything?
Yeah, the most direct, and it's not very, but direct thing that we've seen is you get the a special badge on your WFS on Walmart, and that and some other like the 2-day shipping badge and some other components that allow you to have a pro seller badge if you have a good listing quality score. And I forget the numbers offhand, but Walmart has publicly stated people with high quality listings with this pro seller badge do see a sales lift. So you get the pro seller badge, 2-day shipping on Walmart, you'll be more prevalent. I wish I knew that number offhand, that'd be great. But it is a pretty significant lift for once you're enrolled in the program and had that high quality listing.
And to the person who's vendor central, if you're having enormous problems, I know that you said that your rep is not helping you and all that kind of stuff. Let me see if I can help. I've put my email address into the staff part of this. It's just ldowning@takeametrics.com. It turns out we get emails from almost every single webinar, but they go into the info box. And how often do people check their info box? I mean, now we check it a lot, obviously, but just email me directly and I'll try to find somebody that can help you. I don't know the answers to all the things, but I definitely know people who know things. That's a wonderful thing about this industry. Jake also asks about when to expect WFS get a partnered carrier for LTL and FTL shipments. Now they do have a ground partner, a carrier FedEx Ground, but that's just like another thing that they need to sort out, right? Being as new as they are.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that, so we'll see.
Oh, this is a great question. How does fulfillment cost with WFS compare with FBA? We currently do FBA and just got approved for WFS. So which one costs more?
So it depends. I think what you need to do is compare your fulfillment cost, getting the inventory over there and fulfilling WFS versus the shipment you have, assuming FBA is the alternative for the multi-channel fulfillment order, which is different than just FBA fulfilling it themselves for an Amazon order. So comparing WFS to a multi-channel fulfillment order, almost every time WFS is going to be more competitive, cheaper. I don't know what your other options are. If you have a big warehouse locally, if you're using a 3PL, that might be more competitive. But I know that WFS has been able to put in place some pretty competitive rates for Walmart.
Yeah, there was another about like what fee comparison. So I guess you'd have to just kind of compare. If you've got both, use both.
Yeah, if you dependent on MCF as your alternative to WFS is probably going to be less expensive. Just the shipping cost for WFS. I'd recommend also considering the inbound shipment to get the inventory to Walmart. How much are you going to send there? What's your current demand, your order volume on Walmart, to understand what more apples to apples look like. And a lot of people do have another fulfillment partner or method outside of
Yeah.
FBA that may be more competitive today for non-Amazon sales.
Because you got to figure if you do MCF to Walmart or to Walmart orders, then you're paying that 5% block charge. But are you doing enough volume on Walmart to justify sending the inventory into Walmart prior to them rolling out an MCF program of their own for everybody else? So you really don't have apples to apples until they both have MCF, and you can just pick and choose which one you're going to store your stuff at. But then you get into whose storage costs are less. And that's going to be interesting when that happens. So here's to the future when it's going to be super competitive. And
a strategy that I've seen work out for selling on Walmart for people doing WFS, you do get that lift. You have the 2-day badge. If you have other good metrics like quality listing, and go to ODR, you'll get that pro seller badge as well. So sending the inventory to WFS gives you that lift, helps you build some momentum on Walmart. So there is value there outside of just what does it cost to ship. There is value there, and it might be worth at least sending a portion. Maybe if you're selling, I'm gonna use easy numbers for myself, 100 orders per month or 100 units per month, sending 80 over to Walmart, so that you have enough for that demand for your Walmart orders, and as a backup, you still have MCF or your other fulfillment capabilities. So you're not putting all of your eggs in that one basket, but you're still taking advantage of the lift that you get from WFS.
That's good advice. So do we know about WFS and manufacturer barcodes and how you would identify a multi-pack or a variety pack that contains multiple UPCs from different products? Or is that a question that we should research? I don't know the answer to that. Do you know the answer to that?
Yeah, unless something's changed, they still require unique UPCs per SKU per listing. So for brands selling multi-packs, you want to have a different UPC for that 2-pack, 3-pack, or that bundle, for your SKU on Walmart.
We're a small business based in Ireland and currently have our products in Amazon FBA. Our Shopify store is being fulfilled by a 3PL. Does Walmart accept applications from international sellers, or is it limited to USA only?
They do accept applications from international sellers, so it's not exclusively USA only, but they have the requirements. Best is if you have a US-based entity, they may ask for certain identification numbers. I think we may have just had a write-up on our blog site, so zentel.com/blog, that outlines kind of the requirements and has a link to the application for international businesses on Walmart.
I'm going to find it and put it into the chat. Well, here's another question to ask, or to answer while we're doing, although I love a good 3PL, but you can fulfill your Shopify store through MCF too at Amazon if your products are already there at FBA. And so this person uses Deliver to fulfill Walmart orders. Would there be a benefit in switching to WFS, or should they do both? And how's that handled in the Walmart Seller Central system?
I don't think I could answer that for this person specifically, but consider what your costs are with Deliver. Check out what your cost will be with Walmart fulfillment services as well. You do get the 2-day badge with Deliver, which is really valuable. You'd also get that with WFS, so that's interchangeable. Today, you are able to use Deliver for non-Walmart orders. So if you're fulfilling eBay or your Shopify site or BigCommerce site with your inventory over at Deliver, you would not be able to do that with WFS today. So maybe that's a reason to continue using Deliver. But those are some questions I would ask to help make that decision.
I think that's great advice. So somebody said something. So our friend that is a Walmart expert says that WFS fulfillment costs are very similar to FBA. The inbound is where you get killed without a partnered LTL character, like Amazon has. Which somebody was asking about, when are they going to get a partnered LTL character partner? And our 1P friend asked, how do the WFS fees compare to large distributors like ReaderLink? And I guess it just really depends on how much stuff you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
I would imagine. So our friend from Expert Walmart Land says, I have both Deliver and Walmart as well. And if WFS does MCF, they're probably going to drop Deliver. But until that happens, they're going to keep their Deliver. And Allison just put the Walmart Marketplace application tips into the questions, and I'm also going to type that into the chat for everybody. So this is a great blog post by Zentel, so our friend in Ireland. This will help give you some tips on applying for the Walmart Marketplace. And if you have trouble, email us. I think any of us can give you advice and maybe make a call. Maybe. So back into the questions. I love an engaged audience like this. You guys are the greatest. So many good questions. We are coming up on time pretty soon. I think we were going to do about 50 minutes. And I did want to ask you, Michael, I know that like we were supposed to just keep talking about fulfillment, but I think that we've really talked a lot about fulfillment. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what things people can do right now when they're selling multi-channel to make sure their listings are exactly where they need to be. And that's of particular interest to somebody like me who works in the advertising space, because if the listing is wrong, then the advertising is wrong, right? So what are some quick things that people can do right now to make sure their listings are compliant and make sure they're going to convert beautifully in Q4?
Yeah, so listing quality, I mentioned it earlier, but that's something that marketplaces are really, taking seriously now. Walmart has its own listing quality dashboard, as does Amazon, and it has to do with your ability to fulfill orders quickly, pricing competitively, and the details like the item specifics or deep attributes, rich product data of a listing. So pay attention to listing quality because that's what the marketplaces care about. People sometimes have challenges understanding, one, what listings are listed where, what's available for purchase, what data could I be missing. There are solutions out there that help at least provide visibility into this. This is something that Zentel prides itself in, is giving visibility into gaps in data, automatically transforming data so that you have those high quality listings everywhere with the listing status page and our smart type system. So if you haven't done even an audit heading into Q4, double check. I'm not sure what people are using to manage their systems via a multi-channel management software, spreadsheets, just directly from channel to channel. But there's reports that you could run on each marketplace to see what products, what SKUs are listed and available for purchase on each channel, and just make sure it lines up with what you expect, what it should be. And if it doesn't, there might be some action you have to take.
That's great advice. And I knew you were going to say that. And I knew that you could help because, I mean, listing requirements on different marketplaces are different, right? So what you need to do on Walmart is different than what you need to do on Amazon. If you don't do what you need to do on Amazon, not only can your listing not convert properly, but you can get your ASIN suspended, which would be a really bad thing to happen anytime, but especially right before Q4. And in terms of your listing quality, and you've got to make sure you've got the right keywords in your listing, because then if you're advertising for the keywords that you should, they should be in your listing as well. So there's a lot to keep track of, and having a smart advertising strategy for Q4 is super important. But what I've been thinking about is how you can be competitive with your advertising, but save enough money to have in your pocket for any sort of inventory pivot that you have to make. So you need to up your ad spend in Q4, obviously. You need to be planning for that. But then how are you going to stock away some cash for some possible inventory pivots that you're going to have to make, depending on what Amazon does, depending on what happens with sourcing and things getting here in time and all that kind of stuff. It's really stuff that we should have been talking about, which we were talking about it 6 months ago, but you should have been thinking about it 6 months ago too. This is just such a beautiful question in terms of different capabilities. And Diana asks, how do you keep track of your inventory at Walmart, Amazon, and a 3PL? Michael, how do you do that?
It sounds tough. Well, there are solutions out there, Zentel, that aggregate the quantities from the different solutions, WFS, FBA, your 3PL, your own warehouses, WMS that you're using, to give you visibility into what's where If you're low in stock at FBA, if you're low in stock at WFS, you can take quick action to make sure that you don't miss out on sales. So if anyone's interested in learning more, zentel.com. You can book a call with our team directly on the website, check out our different plans and see what makes sense for you.
I love when that happens. I love when it happens that somebody's like, how do I do this? And I'm like, oh, you know how you do that? You talked to this guy that I brought onto this webinar with me.
Did that question come in immediately?
It was not,
you're just waiting until the end to bring it up?
no, it came in like pretty much right before I asked. I mean, it's just kind of perfect. So someone asked about my email address again. So I just put that into the chat so everybody can see it. In terms of the chat history, I don't know how you see that, but I'm going to chat it again. So hopefully you can copy that blog post if you need to. Actually, this is a great question about Walmart listings. So let's just sneak that in there and just go a little bit over. So, because it's our Walmart expert, right, who's given us so much helpful information. So let's do something nice for them. So their biggest problem with Walmart is trying to link with the correct product detail page. There isn't an ASIN level type number to enter in when creating a listing to get on the same detail page. It's done by UPC and it doesn't always match up. So do you have any advice about that?
Yeah, that one's tricky. And early on, there was a lot of, to put it in the most positive way, people who just didn't have great data, creating new listings on Walmart using whatever UPCs that they wanted to use. I've seen a situation where someone was selling hardware parts and got tied to a 12-pack of Keystone Light. Fortunately, their item that they were selling was like $200, so they didn't risk actually selling it on Walmart based on the UPC that was tied to that listing. Walmart's been trying to clean this up. This was back in 2017, so there's been a lot of strides since then. Use the right UPCs. If you find a listing that is not using that right UPC, you can reach out to support. You could send pictures, they'll update it. There are some more manual, less fun ways to look at the like page source and look at the UPC that listings that you're trying to hook up to is leveraging. And I'm also looking forward to when Walmart rolls out something similar to ASIN. You can just say this is the ASIN. We have something called Easy List ASIN on Zentel, but this is the Walmart listing that I have that I would like to sell and tie directly to it. But right now they're using UPCs, and hopefully everyone's using accurate UPCs, and whether or not it's often time to go through support.
Yeah, this person says in many cases there are multiple detail pages for the same item that shouldn't be possible at all. Detail pages were created with the UPC. So yeah, do take screenshots and get in touch with support about that. Because they need to know that. All right. Michael, you're just a delight and so full of knowledge. I appreciate you very much.
Well, thank you, Liz. It was a lot of fun being on here today. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Absolutely. So people who need to get in touch with Zentel, we're going to make that easy. We're going to be sending out this recording to you guys. Hopefully we're going to get that answer about commingled inventory at Walmart. Michael might already have it, so he can let me know. And thanks so much for everybody who came out today. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next week on the 20th with Thrasio. And you'll see Michael in the hot seat answering questions about all sorts of multi-channel stuff very, very soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.